This is Shimelle Lane, and today I have a tutorial for you with Jenni Bowlin Studio products, and we're going to create a layout. I'm starting with the Jenni Bowlin Coordinations cardstock, and I've sanded just half the page so you can see what it looks like when you start. So it starts with this just embossed design on the front, but if you look at the color on the back, when you sand it away, you're going to see more of that color, and the more you sand, the more of that you'll see. So this side I've sanded, and this side I haven't yet. So you can see this creamy, almost yellow color coming up. So I'm going to go ahead and sand the other half of the layout. And for that, I'm going to cover the table. And then you can, depending on how much you're going to sand away, if you want to sand away just a small area, then I use a nail file. But because I'm going to do the whole page, I take some sandpaper and wrap it around a stamping block. And then I can do the whole page. You'll get quite a lot of dust on the page from where all that color is coming off the top. So it helps to have a spare cloth handy to wipe it off, otherwise you're just going to end up with dust everywhere. And that can let you see which areas you need to go back to. Do be careful that whatever you put underneath, if it's not flat, it is going to leave a mark, just like a rubbing that you might take with paper and a crayon. So there's a crease here in the newspaper, and that's shown up here, but I wasn't too worried because I know I'm going to cover this part of the layout anyway. But it's just good to know in case your newspaper is a little lumpy bumpy. I'll just get the dust off my table, and then I'm ready to start making the layout on top of that page. In the center of this layout, I'm going to use a Jenni Bowlin bingo card. These come in the traditional black or white type on like this, so black type on a white background, or in this reverse print so that most of the card is black with the white letters. So this is going to stand out more against that background. And then I'm going to use a chipboard butterfly, but I don't particularly want it this color. I'm going to turn it over to this side, and then I'm going to paint the surface. I'm also going to paint a frame behind the bingo card. So I'm going to do all the painting at once so that I can let the paint dry and not waste too much time. I want to place the card where I want it to go, and then mark the four corners so I know where I need to paint. So I just straighten it up and put a dot in each corner. And then I know those are my four lines I need to paint over. For the paint on both the frame and the butterfly, I'm using yellow that's called Lemon Drops in the Jenni Bowlin for Ranger collection. And then I've just thinned it down with a little bit of Pearl Glimmer Mist, so it's just a little bit of shimmer. There's not really any color in that one. And I've just mixed those up so it's a little bit thinner than acrylic paint, and then I can just paint on this frame. So set this aside to dry, and then I'm also going to paint the butterfly with the same color of paint. My butterfly is all painted and dry now, and I'm going to add some polka dots to the butterfly. So I'm going to do that with this cling stamp by Hero Arts, and I'm not going to use a block with it. I'm just going to use the tabletop as the block. Essentially, I'm going to ink this and then press the butterfly down onto the polka dots. So I'm going to ink this with black paint, and I'm going to use the Ranger paint dabber. And just get all the polka dots painted. Now, paint produces a less perfect stamp than ink, so if you like very precision polka dots, then you could use the same technique but with an ink pad, and you can use StazOn to go right over the top of paint without any trouble. And there are several other dye inks that can do that too. Okay, that's all looking pretty even. So now I'm going to place the butterfly, and the trick is that you can't move it once you've set it down. And then I like to start in one corner and press so that I can keep some sort of order and I know where I've pushed the chipboard down onto the stamp so I don't miss any spots. It's okay if there's paint smeared on the back of the butterfly because it's not going to show. And then pick it up, and there it is, all polka dotted. And so I am going to go ahead and clean off the paint off here, and while that dries, and then I'll be ready to put the layout together. So if I come back to the layout, I have the yellow frame is all dried now, so I'm going to go ahead and attach the bingo card right over the top of that. And I can line up my corners with the dots that I made before. Normally when I add the dots to mark the frame, I use something very faint like a pencil or a colored pencil that matches the same color of the paint. That way it doesn't show once you've painted the frame. So in this case I used a darker pen so that you could see it on the camera. But generally you can't see the dots once the paint is there. Now I have the yellow and black polka dotted butterfly, and I have my photos. I'm using this photo strip, and this is from a photo booth that was one that was taken several years ago, but also it was a vintage photo booth. So this is the actual strip, and it does come out quite differing in exposure. And really, of the 4 images, there's only one that's quite nice. So what I want to do is draw more attention to that picture. So I'm going to use one of the Jenni Bowlin stamps. I'm going to use this larger stamp from the label set. And I'm going to use yellow paint to stamp a label over the nicer picture. Let's just add the stamp to the acrylic block. It's a bit more dramatic than I meant to do. Okay, so stamp on the block, and then you can ink it just from the paint dabber, or you can use a paintbrush, whatever you prefer. So I can just paint this on. Because it's a clear stamp on a clear block, I can see exactly where I'm stamping, so I can center that on the photo that I want to highlight, and then I can see all the areas of the stamp to make sure it all gets pressed down, and then peel it off. And the acrylic paint on the actual photo stock will give it a bit of an imperfect kind of vintage look to the frame. So that will draw attention to the nicest of the pictures on the strip. So my 2 page elements are going to be the photo strip and this butterfly. And now I just need to figure out where I want to attach them, and then I'll build the rest of the embellishment and the journaling around there. So I have the photo in place, and I've attached the butterfly. I added just a little bit of black to the edges so that it would have some contrast where it's against the yellow. And the next thing I want to do is create another little space off the side here, and I want to repeat this label stamp, but I don't want to stamp over this part. So I'm going to use a post-it note to mask off where I don't want to stamp. And then I can just take a look and see how that's going to work. Now, the difficulty in stamping like this is that this piece has so many layers now that it's going to be hard to get a clean stamp here. So I'm just going to be aware of that and then try my best. I'm using Jenni Bowlin black ink for this. So if I stamp it neatly, it should stamp much more clean than the paint because I'm using an ink instead of paint. Okay. There we go. And then I can pull off the post-it note, and it's almost as if the label was stamped underneath. And if I had thought about it, I certainly could have stamped it first and put everything else over the top. But that's not really the way I work. I don't tend to think of those things in advance, so I just have to make do. And I'm going to add journaling in this box. And then I have this space here that also needs a little bit of something, so I'll show you what I'm going to add there. To correspond with this label here, I've just added a little flag sticker. It's not actually stuck down yet. I'm just thinking that that may be where it will go. I have a partial mini bingo card, which is the opposite colorway. And I'd used the word at the top, but I haven't used the rest of the card. So I'm going to repeat this idea of the stamp, but I'm going to stamp a label that will fit on the numbers here and then cut it out. So this time this stamp is a little bit too big. I'm going to use a smaller stamp from the same set. And I'll just stamp that in black. And then cut this out. And now this piece is cut to fit, but there's no yellow that makes it coordinate with everything else. So I'm just going to take my paint dabber and add the yellow to the outside edge. I decided the easiest thing to do will be to add embellishment and journaling to this corner and use this space here for extending the title. So I went through all different letter sticker sheets to find enough letters to spell out what I wanted to spell. I just wanted to show you that sometimes if I'm trying to mix and match alphabets, this is an easy way to do that. Just take something that will have packaging that's easy to take the stickers off of and spell it around the outside. So 3 different types of yellow letter stickers to create the title, and then I'm going to finish this area down here. I'm using the Jenni Bowlin mini chalkboard letters for the date. And then I also have small butterflies in yellow, so I'm going to add a few of those, maybe just 1 or 2 even. Yeah, I'm going to put just 1 here and use foam tape to bring it up off the page. Where I started with 1 butterfly sticker up here at the top, then I wanted to keep that in a group of 3, so I added 1 more in the embellishment section here and 1 across to make a triangle, and that way the 3 points draw your eye in toward that photo that I want to bring your attention to. To finish the page, I just used my black pen to add a frame around this center section and added some handwriting to the top to kind of extend the title even more, and the journaling details here in the box. So now the challenge is up to you. You don't have to make this exact layout. Your challenge is to create a project inspired by something here. It could be the color combination, it could be butterflies, bingo cards, mixing up your letters, using a photo strip, trying a triangle of embellishments, stamping with paint, adding polka dots. There's so many different things that you can try. It just has to be something that you thought of from watching this tutorial. If you post your creation in the box, then one entry will be chosen to win a goodie box of Jenni Bowlin Studio scrapbooking supplies. So I hope you will join in the challenge. Thanks very much.